being in addiction is not the easiest thing. Growing up, I was this small boy, and just physically, hata stamina sikuwa nayo. I'm telling you, the number of slaps nimepigwa kwa hii face bana, because of alcohol. So when you have your first cigarette, when you have your first puff of bangi, when you chew mogoka the first night and you start feeling like, wow, this is hata silali niko poa, hata naweza soma the whole night. What I didn't know was that now I was getting into prostitution, another forbidden fruit. Imezoea whatever substance you are using. If it's a depressant, imezoea kutulizwa. If it's a stimulant, imezoea kuamshwa na the substance you are using. Okay, so there are also withdrawals. You are getting serious withdrawals, severe withdrawals. Una shake ama una sweat asubuhi, unakuwa agitated, sometimes uko too jittery. Boss, kama umefika hapo, sasa hiyo ni stage tunaita habitual. And by that time, you require help. And we are back. Chris Kemaro here. Recovering alcoholic, addiction counselor, sober 8 years and happy to be sober. Nakwambia, being in addiction is not the easiest thing. 17 years I struggled, and that's why I'm here. I'm sober, and I want everyone who is struggling with any addiction also to feel the joy and the peace that comes with sobriety. So many people ask me, how did it all start? Juu umesikia nikiwa TikTok, I'm talking about sijui venye nilikuwa nalala kwa kichaka, but how did it all start? And it reminds me of sijui kama ni kwa Biblia, the forbidden fruit. Is it the forbidden fruit? Yeah, they say the forbidden fruit is always sweet. So today I want to talk about that first sip, that first joint or puff, or that first chewing of mogoka, and how it contributes to what will come later. You see, for me, growing up, I was this small boy, and just physically, hata stamina sikuwa nayo. Physically, small boy, very sharp in school, and even when the other boys were messing up with the girls, for me, I didn't have that privilege. So I think low self-esteem was always an issue. And so in high school, when we started sneaking, mavijana wengine, I used to see them take the karovo. Uko Kianyaga, there was a name, kiuji fulani, the alcohol. And one time, kama tumesneak, that's the first time I took a sip. And I remember kulikuwa na music festivals, and people were preparing. So when we went back to school, nilikuwa nasikia ni kama I'm walking on springs, you know, the way you are feeling good. And I remember hiyo evening, when we were preparing, I was dancing, yeah, hizo vitu na hata sikuwa naelewa. And that first feeling of the first sip, I think messed me up, because it made me feel like, wow, this is good. And surprisingly, I forgot all about it. Then over the holidays, there was a chance to take Moratina. My brothers and some friends had some Moratina, and no one gave me the Moratina, but I got a chance to take a sip again. And my God, I remember tulikuwa kwa forest, tulikuwa tunalima kwa shamba. So after working, those guys, of course, they walikuwa wamemaliza high school, so they also had some Moratina. So when I took the Moratina, walking from the forest, I was again flying and feeling like I'm the man, and all these other bigger guys were laughing, and I was feeling like, wow, I'm impressing them. I was feeling, for the first time, I was feeling like, wow, I'm a man. And so from the first sip, from the first experience, from the experimentation, for me, it felt good. Hii mambo ingine ya kutapika and all that, those were to come later. That first feeling, and I know for most people, even when I'm talking to guys, that first sip, when or first smoke, Ukitumia bangi for the first time, for instance, you feel like some people say they are flying. Okay, for me, when I smoked bangi nikiwa university, mimi nilisikia tu kulala, sijui for ama ni venye nilikuwa nimekunywa pombe sana. I remember ilikuwa campaigns. Okay, back to the first sip. So you see, the next time nilikunywa alcohol, we count bado as the first sip, was in 2000 now, nikiwa form 4, tukianza form 4. And that was now a serious drinking experience. Tulikuwa tumekaa with my friends, 3 of them. I always tell you this story. I have told this story over and over. But it always rings in my mind. How that key experience, tulikuwa tumetengenezesha Muratina. And you know, in the village, Muratina kutengeneza, it's not a big deal. Ukiwa tu na kasukari na some sugar canes and some honey, unapeleka kwa mzai, anatengeneza, yule mzai wa kutengeneza. And so we wanted to mark 2000, yani tukiingia form 4 with a bang. And now that was again another first good experience for me. The alcohol, tukikunywa Muratina hivi, tulikuwa tumetafuta mpaka horns. Hatukuwa tunakunywa na hizi maglasses. Alafu nani huyo alinipatia maji na kama mzinga. Unajua sasa inanipatia trauma. Ananipatia maji na kama mzinga bana. Hii mzinga kama hii ya White Pearl ilifanya nilale kwa kibaki siku 3. Anyway, back to 2000 kukunywa hiyo pombe. I remember mimi nikikunywa and everything went blank. Pale niliamkia, na I always tell this story and say mimi niliona ni kama niko heaven. Because there were some angels ni surround hivi, wako na in white, and then kuna mzee ako na, you know, long beard, and you know, he was giving me some sugary water. And in my mind I was, you remember I was an altar boy once, so mimi nilikuwa naona ni kama niko heaven, I'm being welcomed, nimelala hivi napewa. But nilikuwa nashindwa, kwa nini nimelala? Si ningekuwa I'm singing. See, in heaven we are supposed to be singing 24/7. So ananipatia maji ya sukari. So I thought that is the milk and honey in Canaan, and only to realize that nilikuwa nimeget crash into a wedding, and nimelala hapa kwa, what do you call it, in front of the bridal party, and they were surrounding me wakishindwa kihege ya Kimaru, you know, this idiot of Kimaru amekuja kufanya nini, ana mess our occasion. And of course after that I realized this mzee wa masharufu mwenye I thought ni Ibrahim ama Adam ama Abel, whoever, Joshua ama somebody, kumbe alikuwa tu mzee wa kijiji. He was helping me to regain consciousness. That was the first experiences that I had with alcohol. And for me, they were nice, pleasant experiences. I felt like a man. Remember I told you, kuna venye nilikuanga na low self esteem as a small boy. So hata mambo ya sex mimi sikuwa najua. So mavijana wakiongea venye walifanya weekend, venye sijui walienda kwa majani chai. Kwetu kuna majani chai, kwetu ni tea plantations. So mavijana wakisema venye nilishika wajiko tukaenda tukafanya. Mimi nilikuwa tu hapo nikisikiza, and I'm like, mkafanya nini? Sisemi, but I'm like, na mimi siku itafika wapi hata mimi nifanye hizi vitu. So now drinking the alcohol, that first experience for me, it felt like it reminds me of the biblical forbidden fruit. The forbidden fruit is always sweet. And for me, that was the experience. It was sweet. And for so many guys, whenever I talk to people, most of them say that first experience with the alcohol, with the weed, with the mogoka, yes, maybe mtu alitapika, but there was that initial feeling, you know, when you have that dopamine surge, you know, dopamine, we'll be talking about dopamine so much, the chemical in your brain, the chemical messenger in your brain, yenye inakufanya feel good, you know. Whenever you are feeling good, that dopamine is released. So when you have your first cigarette, when you have your first puff of bangi, when you chew mogoka the first night, and you start feeling like, wow, this is hata silali niko poa, hata naweza soma the whole night. That is the I equate it to the forbidden fruit. And now what most of the users don't know, what most of the young boys and young girls don't know, what I didn't know as Chris, was that I was experimenting. I was in the stage we call experimentation with the alcohol, because from there my brain now remembered that experience ilikuwa stored in the memory. And whatever else, even when I was having fun with other things, that memory of how good it felt was ringing at the back of my mind. And so after Form 4, the first thing I went looking for, after kumaliza KCSE, and I was a bright boy, I thought I would get an A-. The first thing I went looking for was alcohol. And I remember kumaliza Form 4 hivi, mimi hata box na kila kitu niliuza, mpaka kama mattress nilikuwa nayo, kila kitu nilipeana, hata vitabu. For what? So that nipate pesa ya kwenda kutumia. And I went to a bar and I drank in Karatina town. I drank myself silly. I drank, nikaanza kutapika. My brother, saizo one of my brothers alikuwa makanga, akaambiwa pale niko. Akanipata mimi nimelewa, niko kwa jukebox. For those who don't know, a jukebox ilikuwa kitu inaka unaweka pesa, then you select the music. And there were these big mamas. So unajua mimi nikikunywa nilikuwa na feel like now I can talk to women. I'm telling you the number of slaps nimepigwa kwa hii face bana, because of alcohol. Because nikikunywa na feel like sasa na I can talk to any woman. And now sometimes unaenda kuongelesha mama wa bar unagongwa, ama unaenda kuongelesha bibi wenyewe unagongwa. And I was a small boy. So my brother came for me. But still, even after the kutapika and the hangover in the morning, I was still feeling like, wow, I need that. I need that. What I didn't know was that my brain, the brain chemistry, the brain structure was changing. Something was changing in my brain. So I realized even after I started talking to girls before I went to university, I had to lazima ningekunywa pombe kwanza for me to get that courage, ile Dutch courage. My brain, the motivation, I didn't know that my motivation or the reward circuitry ilikuwa ina narrow down, that the only thing that could motivate me was alcohol. The chemistry, the reward circuit was being hijacked by the alcohol. By the time I was going to Moi University in 2002, August or October, mi pombe nilikuwa sasa nimezoea. Because zile sachets, zile za 10 tulikuwa tukaratasi hivi. Ile kubwa ya 30 bob ilikuwa inaitwa Kiora, Kenya King. Na kuna ingine ya Naivasha ilikuwa inaitwa Amarius, Learn Why Birds Fly. Hiyo hata ukikunywa ulikuwa unaambiwa ufunge hapa, ufunge miguu kwanza, so that in case. Alafu ukikunywa Kiora hiyo ya 30 bob ulikuwa unaambiwa usikae kwa counter. Gidai, enda ukae pale. Juu hata kusimama itakuwa shinda. Hata ukikunywa ya pili unaulizwa are you normal, na hiyo ni 30 na 60 bob. So by the time I was going to the university, mimi nilikuwa nimejua kunyonya hako kakitu. Most of the times lazima ungenipata na kasashe, because I would buy in a pack. I think it was 240 or 220 shillings that time. Nakuja naeka home. So mimi niko too high. Hata nikiwa kwa majani chai, mzae anasikia tu I'm singing loudly. Songs hizo times hatukuwa na a lot of music, so ni like dibe. I'm a prisoner. Hatukuwa na FM radios, ndio zilikuwa zimekuja. So music haikuwa mob hivyo. Now, kufika Moi University, sasa niko na do. Brain structure yangu imechange such that there are so many women, but I can only even maybe talk to women or even get any motivation by taking alcohol. And alcohol was available. Boss, makosa. Sasa kutoka kwa sachet, pesa si inaisha, kahelp kanaisha, nikajua kuna chang'aa. Chang'aa ilikuwa, those who know Moi University, the main campus, hapo kuna like a kaslam, just next, inaitwa Mabatini. Nasikianga ni wala wase walikuwa wanajenga the university, walibaki hapo. And of course, walikuwa wanapika busaa, chang'aa. Nao kudiscover chang'aa, kulikuwa na karoiko, karoiko, kared, kale karoiko mchuzi mix. Watu wa roiko mchuzi mix, mjue mlikuwa mnasaidia sana watu wengine. Ako ukiwekewa mudi, hawezi wekewa mudi ati chang'aa ujaziwe. Chang'aa hakuna mahali unajaziangwa, unawekeangwa because they know akikujazia unaweza kufia hapo. So unawekeangwa tu kadogo. So ukiwekewa mudi kidogo hivi, alafu unachukua busaa mnaweza gogoro moja, kama gorogoro ni 2 kg kimbo, kile mkebe kia kimbo, ile ilikuwa ya chuma bado ilikuwa. So ukichukua hiyo, mkichukua maybe mkiwa kama wawili, then mna add hiyo mudi chang'aa kidogo. Then It's not even maybe 100 shillings. Saa mko sawa. Alafu busaa tulikuwa tunapenda busaa at that time cause with 100 shillings hata hautakula food. So utashiba na utalewa. Now the problem is ukikunywa huko mabatini, hiyo slum, kupanda all the way to the hostel ilikuwa shida sana. So many of the times nilikuwa najipata na jaribu kupanda hivyo, natoka huko saa 2. By the time maybe asubuhi najipata sijafika. There was a time bado 2002 haiko imeisha. Nilijipata nalala outside Margaret Thatcher University library. Tulikuwa tunasema it's the biggest library in East Africa. By the way it was big. So watu wakienda class mi wanapata, alafu with busaa lazima ungetapika. So watu wanapata mi nimejitapikia outside the library. Alafu unajua saa watu wakujui sana. And that's how I lost my ID. The first ID. Oh, this is the first or the second. So watu wakivote 2002 wakivotia NAK na Kibaki, mimi sikuvote. Na yeah, so you see, from the experimentation, for me, for some reason, because of maybe the underlying issues, things like social anxiety, low self-esteem, and also kitu tutaongea about it, genetic predisposition, because in our family, nikiangalia sana naona kuna family history of tunakuanga predisposed at risk of addiction, because not only in my family, even the larger family, naonanga kuna story ya pombe sana. So already me niki-experiment, I didn't know those things. So for me the forbidden fruit, it was not only sweet but also bitter at the end. By 2003 sasa nimeanza hata, unajua kukuwa na simu. So ni utumiwe, utafute booth, upige home, then watume money order, you lie to them, unaambia hakuna food or stuff like that. Watume money order, na money order inakuja 500, then ikikam lazima upeleke post office. But my drinking ilikuwa progress to a point now, nigeuza, kama nimenunua food, vitu kama maunga nimeanza kuuza for me to get the money for busaa. So the forbidden fruit had already become bitter. But now the worst thing to happen was in 2003. Now nikiingia second year, I discovered something else. Another fruit, another forbidden fruit. And it happened so casually. You see, at that point, my first girlfriend was the alcohol, the booze. And she was a good girlfriend. She never asked for much. You just had to be with her. She didn't ask for credit. She didn't ask for fare, you know. She didn't ask for anything at rent. She didn't ask for 2,000 urgently. She didn't say that her mom is sick. Unajua, when you start dating, hizo my issues will come up. My girlfriend, the alcohol, didn't have so many issues. But now, of course, I'm a man and I have biological needs. And that's how I found myself, niko kwa bar, and a friend of mine suggested, huku kuna ma prostitutes. Tuko kwa bar, then hapo kuna brothel. And I was like, by the way, what happens in brothels? Nikaambiwa, kwanza sasa topic ikaanza. Si unaenda tu unalipa. Then ukilipa alafu unapiga vitu, unamalizia. Unamalizia like, what do you mean unamalizia? Yes, you just have sex and that's it. And how much are you talking about? Kusikia ni 200, 250, kitu kama hiyo. Na saa hizo tuko town Eldoret, na tumetoka post office kutoa pesa, tuko na help. Hata tulikuwa tunakunywa Tusker. Ati 250, mimi naweza jaribu.